Yeah, we're changing gears now and talking about a host of issues concerning the military. And we have with us this morning Major General Victor Ezugo, who is the Director General of Daikon. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you, Maokwe. Good morning.
Good morning. We also have with us Major General Usman Shehu Mohammed, who is the Chief of Civil Military Affairs. You're welcome as well.
Thank you, Maokwe.
Well, I think I'd like to start with you because we've been talking about human rights, and oftentimes that has come to the fore in terms of civil-military relations. There have been concerns in recent times that the relationship could be deteriorating. It was brought to the fore by the case of Hamisu, the Hamisu case where, military men were said to have killed members of the Nigerian police. This was captured on video. The military did not deny it. They actually ordered an investigation into it. But people argue that the manner in which that was handled had the capabilities to further deteriorate civil-military relations. How has it been with you at the helm of affairs?
Okay, thank you very much, Maokwe. I will not want to start with the case of Wadume in Taraba. That's the issue that happened in Taraba. But I just want to say generally that the Department of Civil Military Affairs has been doing a lot to improve on our civil-military relations with the civil populace. In that regard, we have instituted so many measures, including the establishment of the Human Rights Desk at the department. And also, we had undertaken several engagements with our troops, especially at the divisions, to educate them as to how to respect human rights. Also, in our training institutions, we have come up with several packages. We have packages that address aspects of international humanitarian law and laws of armed conflict. Also, we have undertaken measures to ensure that all troops understand aspects of code of conduct for troops during operations and during internal security engagements, as well as rules of engagement for troops during such a particular engagement. So generally, we are doing a lot. So coming to this particular issue, of course, we are relating with the other security agencies, including the police. So the case of Wadume in Taraba is unfortunate and it's regrettable, but at the same time, I just want to say that maybe there were issues of breach in communications, and maybe that's why that incident occurred. So there's an investigation that has been conducted, even though the report has not been released, but I want to believe that that has not really dampened our record as regards civil military cooperation with us.
Hasn't it taken too long? If by now the report has not been released?
Maybe, I don't know, but maybe you can refer to the government because I think the DHQ has completed its assignment and they've submitted the report to the presidency. So I think they are waiting for the presidency to actually release the report. So I can't really comment too much.
That would be on the one hand. There was another video that went viral showing soldiers, people who look like soldiers, the alleged soldiers, carrying some men off the truck of a vehicle and then digging shallow graves and shooting them and burying them in that grave. I think the military did react to that particular video, saying that they were going to look into it. What was the outcome of that particular investigation?
Yes, I know the particular video you are referring to. And of course, investigations have started and it's not yet concluded. So I believe at the end of the investigations, if any individual is found culpable or if it's true that that incident actually took place, sanctions will be applied. They will be properly investigated and sanctions will be applied where applicable.
Where are we in the middle of the investigations?
I wouldn't know because I am not involved in the investigation myself. So, but I saw the video and I know that action is being taken.
Yeah, but generally speaking, because it's one thing for you to continue to educate your men, and people will commend the fact that you're taking the pains to do that, to try and improve civil-military relations. It means that you recognize that there is a problem, and it is only when there is a problem that we find solutions. How would you say that this has been taken on board? Would you say that so far, so good, military-civil relations have been improving? Do you have a yardstick to measure?
Okay, I want to respond this way, that, of course, aspects of civil-military relations, there is never a yardstick. You can never say, give a number to it or a percentage to it. It's all about perception, just the way security is. So it's all about perception, and I want to say that so far, so good. Since I came on board in January 2019, we have done a lot to improve on our perception as regards civil-military relations. And also, what I can say is that as much as possible, you have to understand that we soldiers, we are part of the society. We didn't fall from the sky. We are a product of the society in which we are operating. So when you have challenges, where one or two individuals may be behaving differently from the generality of the troops or the military, what they are doing, you don't ascribe that to saying everybody is undermining civil-military relations or abusing human rights. When such challenges occur, or when those issues occur, like there are instances, I don't have to really elaborate on them, we identify those individuals, investigate, and sanctions are applied. But generally, as I said, we are doing a lot as regards educating our personnel, and also as much as possible to institute measures whereby human rights violations are reduced to the barest minimum. I'm not saying they don't occur once in a while, but any time they occur, we do everything possible to investigate and apply sanctions where applicable.
Yeah, but investigations, I mean, at this rate, they're really, really slow, aren't they?
No, certainly when issues like this occur, they take time. Investigations take time. And the only thing you can just say is that maybe part of the feedback as regards our findings when we have concluded investigations are not properly communicated to, because they apply to such individuals and they are confidential to those individuals.
Okay, well, let's talk a little about Daikon now, which is supposed to be the arm that brings up local solutions and ensures that we're saving money. Where are we right now in terms of innovation? We've seen a number of young Nigerians doing great things. Are those great things also happening within the circle of the military?
Definitely, yes. I will say that we've come a long way now in the country. The president ordered us to look into local content in developing strategies and equipment for military solutions to our national security challenges. So Daikon is the hub of that solution to our national defense equipment production. So we have upped the game in Daikon, trying to use local content up to 70% in the production of the armored fighting vehicles that was recently commissioned by Mr. President. And we have gathered some Nigerians who I know were blessed with a lot of human resources. We've gathered them together, we've gathered engineers, all of them are Nigerians, no foreign advisor, no foreign consultant, that produce the Ezugu mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicle that Mr. President has commissioned. Apart from that, we've looked into the problems in the Northeast, and we're beginning to address the issue. We have developed a mine sweeper, a mine roller, that is going to address the issue of mines often laid by the adversaries for our troops. So apart from that also, we have stepped up our game in terms of producing ballistics for the military and helmets and other equipment, all locally. All these things are helping us to save foreign exchange. We are saving a lot of money that we have used by contractors to import these things abroad. I'll cite one example. The MRAP we produce here locally is at a unit cost of about 70 million naira. Those we import from abroad cost us in the neighborhood of between 500,000 to $1 million. And if you convert it, you have so much money. So we are trying to reduce capital flight in Nigeria.
I will let you speak a little more on it, because the development of that mines-resistant vehicle is a new development.
It is.
And I think it's something that Nigerians should know about. When we come back from this break, please stay with us. Yes, we still have with us Major General Victor Ezugo, who is the Director General of the Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria, that's Daikon. And we also have with us Major General Usman Shehu Mohammed, who is the Chief of Civil Military Affairs, all in our Abuja studios. Gentlemen, just before we went on break, you're telling us about this vehicle, this mine...
MRAPs.
Yeah, MRAPs, for short, before I stutter on that one.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. I was saying that the need for us to, make a homegrown solution for our problems led us, Daikon and Command Engineering Depot in Kaduna, which is a Nigerian Army establishment, to go into production of these MRAPs. We looked at all other MRAPs that other countries in Europe has produced, so we now designed one that can address the terrain in the Northeast. Because when you get a mine-resistant vehicle from abroad, the issue of our weather and environment may not be so much captured in the production. So I particularly, having operated in the Northeast as a General Staff Commanding and also a Brigade Commander in Adamawa, take a look at all the gamut of, things that we need to do to produce a locally grown problem to our military problems. And that is what led us to gather some Nigerians. We have, the oldest among them is 31 years. His name is Engineer Shedrack Agbo from Benue State. And
they're not all military people. They're
they're
just civilians.
Civilians. Now fused with the military and the Daikon engineers are the one that produced this vehicle. So it's our own, and then we took a lot of things into consideration in producing that vehicle. But let me say, Maokwe, that it's just a starting point. We have not yet arrived where we want to be. In the next 5 years, if this feat is sustained by the military, I can assure you that we might not have need to import any vehicle again into this country for military purposes.
That will be very interesting, because it is worthy to note that Daikon has been in existence since the 1960s, and that if we had been continuing on the tangent of what Daikon was meant to have been doing, perhaps in prosecuting this war against Boko Haram, questions of ammunition or whether or not Boko Haram was better prepared than we were to wage the war would not have a reason. Only recently, though, I think sometime in October, the president directed that the military purchase weapons and purchase some materials from Daikon.
Yes.
Why did the president need to give this directive? What was the relationship between Daikon and the military before now, even though it's supposed to be the Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria?
Thank you very much. Victor Hugo said that there is no force on earth that can stop an idea that its time has come. This is the time that we have a strategic leader who thinks ahead, who is desirous to ensure that Nigeria defense capacity is enhanced, to give such an executive order and back it up with adequate funding. I must thank the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General T.Y. Buratai, for having the courage to assist Daikon and Command Engineering Depot to achieve this feat, because the funding of this project that is valued at well over ₦1 billion was drawn from the support of the Army headquarters. And then the Ministry of Defense and all the agencies that is supposed to midwife Daikon, the defense headquarters, have also keyed into this presidential directive. And I can assure you that the fact that we have not made an inroad into defense production in the past is all because that the environment, the strategic guidance was not actually there. But now we have leaders at both military and political levels that are supporting defense industry production. And that is why things are going the way they are going. And I can assure you that a lot more will still come out of this locally grown solution to our military problem.
Yeah, it is a problem. I mean, if we abandon what is supposed to be ours, what could serve us locally, and we depend heavily on importation for something as strategic as defense. But before now, we had been seeing, before President Buhari came to power, we saw the development of some, will I say, were they robotics or were they unmanned military vehicles and things of the sort? Were they from Daikon as well, or were they developed separately by other arms of the military? Yeah,
other arms of the military, actually, because every service, the Army, the Navy, Air Force, Police, all of us have our Research and Development Bureau. And over the years, we've been making effort. But one thing I've seen from Daikon's standpoint is that most of these things end up maybe in prototypes.
Are these your vehicles?
Yes, these are our vehicles. These are the ones that the President has just launched.
This is the one developed by Daikon?
Yes, this is the one developed by Daikon.
So if I get you correctly, are you saying that you are in some sort of competition with other research arms of the military?
I would rather say collaboration and not in competition.
We have to be realistic here, General.
Yeah.
If they're all developing theirs, and somehow because they're developing theirs, you all have to pull from the same funds. And if, as a result, your institution is starved of funds, it's a problem, isn't it?
Yeah, not actually. Well, what I will assure you is this: that Daikon is supposed to be the cornerstone of defense industry production. The idea is that services will produce any defense item and then turn it over to Daikon for mass production and then for patenting, so that we can now give it to the armed forces and other security agencies to fight. And that is the new way, Mr. President, and the military leadership has
That is a new
channeled us now.
directive,
Yes,
but it wasn't a directive before now.
It was there, but it have not been achieved. That is the level of achievement.
It was
of
there,
that.
but it wasn't followed.
Yeah, not followed, but the extent to which it was, executed and carried out is the issue.
So this technology, that this research has been done by other military, the different
services,
military services. How many of them are you currently working on now as Daikon?
Okay, the Air Force Institute in Kaduna, we are collaborating with them. We are looking at going into production of some of their peculiar equipment like drones and others. We have the facility. They also have a research outfit. The Navy also have the Naval Dockyard in Lagos, of which Daikon is going to collaborate with them to also enhance the production of boats for our troops to use in the Niger Delta area and other riverine area in the country. So it's a relationship that we are trying to take to the next level, to key into the strategic leadership of the president, who has charged all of us that we should make effort to ensure that we have a local content-driven defense industry production.
So you say you're going to start, it means it hasn't started yet?
No, it has started. I keep repeating myself that it is the level at which we have achieved. If you have achieved maybe like 60%, and we are going to take it by what percentage to like 70, 80%, that's the point I'm making. It's not like it's not there. I won't be fair to services to say it has not been there or nothing has been achieved. A lot has been achieved, Maokwe, but we need to step up the game.
So tell us about this MRAP. Is this just a prototype, or do you now have capabilities to produce it commercially?
Yeah. What you saw, we have 10 units that were produced for the Nigerian Army. They have also signed a contract with Daikon to produce another 28 units of these vehicles.
Who's signing the contract?
The Army and
Daikon,
Nigerian Army. Now, we have passed the conceptual stage, which is to research and design and produce prototype. We've passed that stage. What you're seeing on screen is the already tested mine-resistant, ambush-protected vehicles in the northeast terrain and certified okay by the theater commander, which is the yardstick we're using now to go into mass production. So the level we are now is we're going to start producing for the military. But let me say that we still need a kind of production line that will enable us to, expand the number we can chunk out maybe within a month or within a year. That is one area that I'm sure that the Honorable Minister of Defense is trying to assist us so that we can get assistance from the presidency to set up a production line. But what we use is that we just use our capacity, local capacity of Daikon and Command Engineering Depot to come up with these vehicles. Just
put this in perspective for us quickly before we go to Lagos. Okay. Why this vehicle is extremely important in the battle we have in the Northeast. We know that mines have been a problem because sometimes when Boko Haram leaves a particular terrain, they leave mines, which is still a problem for the troops who might want to take over that particular territory. Isn't that right?
That's right.
Can you put in perspective for us just how much we have lost in terms of the number of people we have lost as personnel, and also perhaps equipment and things of the sort we have lost to mines, and why this might, be changing the trend for us?
Okay, the point I want to make is that for every military operation, whether ongoing or concluded, the military does what we call lesson learned. And it's just for us to analyze the capacity and the capability of the enemy, do a SWOT analysis on them, and be able to think out what we can use to counter their strengths. This vehicle is one of the areas that we thought we were going to use to counter the effectiveness of improvised explosive devices used by the enemy against us. And that is the reason why we gave it a paramount consideration. And let me tell you, the feat that we achieved here is that this vehicle you're seeing was produced within a period of 7 months. The 10 units that is on display for Mr. President was produced within a period of 7 months. That's a cutting-edge action.
That is even without the line in place?
Yeah, without the line in place. So we got all that we need. We outsourced some parts to our collaborators, like Command Engineering Depot and others, and then we're able to put them together. But 70% local content, I keep emphasizing, and the Chief of Army Staff has directed us that his joy will be when we reduce the foreign content up to 10%. That means we're striving to be self-sufficient. But I tell you that that will be like in the medium time of our program.
Okay, let's quickly go to Lagos now and take some questions.
Okay.
Yes, let me begin with, thank you very much, Generals, for being here. Let me begin with Major General Usman Shehu Mohammed of Civil Military Affairs. We all know what is said, that internal security is the responsibility of every Nigerian, but it is the statutory responsibility of security and intelligence agencies. That's according to the National Security Strategy just recently launched by the President. One of the issues that's pervaded the polity over time, Major General Mohammed, is that of, for want of a better word, conflict, so to speak, among security apparatus, the military, the police, and several others like that. Could you kindly take us through how we can make this better? There's been this talk about superiority, tussle between the Nigerian police and the military in the fight against insecurity. And if we are going to fight insecurity, we know that there has to be this collaboration. Could you kindly take us through how we can make this relationship better?
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. Primarily, the military is responsible for protection of territorial defense of the country, that's external aggression, while the police and other security agencies are concerned with internal security and law enforcement. However, when there are challenges with tackling that, the military has to come in, and that is also captured in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which is Section 217, subsection 1C, which authorizes us to come in aid of civil authority when the need arises. And that aspect is very broad, and it is not specific. There are certain provisions there, and it gives us broad powers to come and assist the police and other security agencies. And of course, you know the challenges we've been facing in the country. We have had more of internal threats rather than external. And you all know that within the country now, the military is deployed in as many as 32 states out of the 36. And yes, you might begin to think there is a conflict, but actually we are cooperating with the police and other security agencies. There may be areas of overlap when this is taking place. But of course, one of the reasons why the military is always proactive and interested in most internal security situations is that whenever the civil agencies or other security agencies are unable to handle such situations or they get out of hand, the military is always the security agency of last resort. And if you don't begin to plan and be proactive in addressing some of these issues, the tendency is that at the end of the day, they just come and dump all the rubbish at your doorstep and they say, okay, military, go and handle. Just the way it's happening in the Northeast now, it was not the military that started it. It started from other sources, and at the end of the day, we are the ones bearing the brunt. So all I want to say is that internal security is everybody's business. It's not a business only for the police or other security agencies. Every citizen, everybody in the country has to be involved. And I want to say that as much as possible, we are doing our best to collaborate and also cooperate to ensure that we address issues of internal security. Let me just quickly add that you mentioned the aspect of the National Security Strategy that was just recently launched in 2019. Yes, the follow-up on that was launched in 2014. And that document just simply updated what was done in 2014 and upgraded some of the threats and some of the aspects that were not foreseen as at that time when it was done. So there's a provision in that document that provides for constant review, and that is what has happened now. And right now, our rule has not changed. What happens is that the military or other ministries, departments, or agents have to key in and ensure that they implement the aspect that concerns them. Ours is very clear, and we'll continue to collaborate and cooperate with other security agents to see that we address issues of insecurity within the country generally. Thank you.
These made in Nigeria defense equipment, and I'd like you to tell us at this point, how many of them are being used on the field by the Nigerian military, and How effective are they? This is for Major General Ezeoku, regarding the Made in Nigeria equipment.
Thank you very much. At moment, 10 of such mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicle has been produced by Daikon and Command Engineering Depot. These 10 of them, by the end of this month, will be moved to the northeast to support the execution of the crisis there. And like I said earlier on, we have a contract to produce another 28 units for the Nigerian Army. So we're in the process of between now and June next year to turn out another 28 units of this vehicle. And not only this vehicle, we have also soft-skin vehicles which we are producing to enable the police, the Air Force, and customs for border patrol. All these things are geared towards making sure that Defense Industry Corporation rises up to its mandate to ensure that we feed the armed forces and security agencies of all that they require to execute their mandate. And let me just also give a cheering news to our colleagues out there that Mr. President has performed the groundbreaking of the Daikon Sur Garment Factory. This garment factory will be constructed in the next 10 months from January. And the idea is that Daikon and our partners from Turkey will be producing all the uniforms required by the armed forces and all the security agencies. And this is another milestone so that non-lethal equipment and services will also be provided by Daikon. So as we are producing things to fight the war, we're also looking at things that will make logistics a little bit easy for armed forces and security agencies to execute their task.
Mm-hmm. One of our viewers has a quick question for you,
okay.
Which is about the fear that people usually have when they're making phone calls and they're, even though I don't think you're supposed to be making phone calls while driving, but
okay.
if you are the one, maybe you're a passenger and you're on the phone while maybe the driver is approaching a military checkpoint, sometimes they're afraid if they have to quickly end their calls. Would you kindly quickly speak to that on why that has to be the case,
okay.
or whether that is going to change?
Okay, sorry. Thank you so much for the question. I think what you mean to say is that when you are approaching a checkpoint, military checkpoint, and you are making a call, that you quickly have to end the call. You see, generally, it's one of the measures, security measures, when you are approaching a checkpoint, that you don't make phone calls, because the tendency is that if you are making the phone call, you might be communicating with some bad guys, or you may use that particular device to set up some certain devices. So that is a general convention. It's not peculiar to just Nigeria alone. It's everywhere. So, and people who have traveled know that, or they're outside the country and they have come across a military checkpoint, or checkpoints generally, you don't make phone calls.
So that is, well, that is procedure. Well, we have to thank you both, gentlemen, for coming on Sunrise Daily. I don't know whether military men are also referred to as gentlemen, but generals, thank you for coming on our program this morning.
So
We've been speaking with Major General Victor Ezeoku, who is the Director General of Daikon, that's Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria, and Major General Usman Shehu Mohammed is the Chief of Civil Military Affairs. We hope to bring you on a little more often, especially wherever it is that we have any conflicts between military and civilians.
It will be my pleasure.
Well, that will be it for this segment of Sunrise Daily. We'll come back and take some of your comments. Please stay with us.
Just before we go, here are some of your comments. We'll begin with this one from Pelumi178, who says, my question is, why would Shore run back into the courtroom seeing the DSS? Why also would the DSS come to arrest him around the court premises? Why can't Falana handle Shore because it seems he is out of order, granting press interviews in the court? I see politics between all parties.
The next one is from Oshinowa Kingsley. This is what he says. It's his opinion. Says, this shameful act of DSS and the open support of the federal government shows clearly where the hate speech bill is slated to achieve. I believe that should be what it's slated to achieve. FG through DSS and other agencies are determined, according to this user, to silence the voice of the people. It goes on to say the judiciary is no longer the last hope of the common man. It's important to note that's his opinion, and I'm sure there are other opinions to this.
Well, I beg your pardon. This is from Gideon. It says it is indeed worrisome that politics in Nigeria has no conscience, no morality, and sadly for Mr. Femi Adesina to say that a few are complaining aside the public uproar. It says it's not a few Nigerians. What is the presidency saying about the desecration of the court?
Interesting. Well, this one is from No Limits IDG and says, it is indeed worrisome that politics in Nigeria has no conscience. Okay, I think that's the one that's just been taken by Mokwe. Well, this one also says, do we need human rights ratings to determine how we directly or indirectly treat ourselves in Nigeria? Nepotism, ethnicity, egoism and corruption lead to crime against humanity, and sadly, both leaders and followers are contributors.
Next is from Billarge, 19 Chikeje, that's his handle, or her handle. When a man threatens the existence of common Nigerians, his human rights privileges are secondary. Showore threatened the democratic system of Nigeria, threatened to annihilate the existence of the DSS, and also bungle out a democratically elected president. You say he doesn't have the capacity to carry out those threats. For someone who ran as president in 2019, you know, quite long actually, but I'm sure you get the idea.
Well, this one is from Zemo. It says it's a fallacy thinking we would ever get human rights 100% perfect in this part of the world. However, we can improve on our human rights record, most especially by curbing the overzealous security agencies from acting outside the law.
So many other comments down the thread on Twitter and all of our social media platforms. You can go there to take your own perspectives and drop yours if you care. Have a wonderful day. My name is Ayo Makinde.
I am Kayode Kikyolu.
And I'm Maupe Ogo Yusuf.